Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns coverage of Big Brother Canada Season 10. We are here to recap, I think, week 5? Week 6?
Six?
5?
I don't
Week
know where
6.
we are.
Sorry. I know. I'm just like losing my mind, just like Marty clearly lost his mind this week. We have a lot to get into, but Allison, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Listen, I just gotta tell everybody, I got a sleeping grandbaby next to me, so enjoy the silence, as I will not be
Yes.
screaming into the microphone.
Yes, this is ASMR week here on my
It's
weekly meltdown,
MSR.
I was traveling for a photo shoot, so that's why we didn't do the show on Thursday, but it ended up working out for us because we had quite a production fumble that canceled the entire HOH comp, and we had to redo all that. So
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of worked out in our favor. So we have lots to talk about, lots to get into. But first, I want to kind of recap the week and kind of talk about like what happened, how we got there, and all of this stuff. Because Allison, how are you feeling about Marty these days? I know you were rooting for him a lot, like at the beginning, but this poor man is just losing his GD mind in the Big Brother
Let
house.
me tell you something. When you're in your 40s and you have to deal with people in their 20s, you can only hang on for so long, and you just snap and you find yourself yelling, sitting in the floor, staring off into space, listening to music and not knowing what's going on. I mean, I literally feel this man's pain. He's lost it. Hey, that's me every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can
Yeah.
relate.
Yes. Relatable for Allison. Yes. But
Yes,
and
I
also I
get
want to
it.
say hi to Sam Higdon. He's in the chat. He says he wants to have a word with me. So I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Usually when somebody tells me that, that means I'm in big trouble for
What'd
something.
you
So
do?
I have no idea, but I'm sure I did something. But okay, so here's what happened. So let's go back to the double eviction safety chain, which feels like a month ago at this point.
God, it does it not?
Right? So basically, like a group of 5 people were in the room during commercial break trying to decide, like, listen, is this the time to take out Gino? And Marty walks in on that room. So I believe the room was Kevin, Helena, Betty, Josh, and either
Uh,
Herman or Moose, maybe.
Wait a minute. Did you say no, I think it was Moose and I think it was Betty? You said Betty.
Yeah. Well, some combination of that, but they were really considering it, and they were even Kevin was giving like the thumbs up to people, like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. So basically, like during the commercial break, like when everybody is sitting on the couch, like about to vote, Betty like looks at Marty from across the room, and we recapped like that. Like Marty like just looked like an emotional mess like after that double eviction chain, and Betty read it the same way. She whispered
Yeah.
to Josh. She said, "Listen, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think Marty is going to flip."
And he did.
And he did. Him and Helena were the only ones that went through with it. So now Marty thinks that, like, they
Let
didn't
me ask
get
you
cold.
something, Tyler.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Let me ask you something real quick.
sure.
Why didn't they go through with getting rid of Gino? Is it because of the way Marty looked across the room? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So basically, like
So
it
don't
was
look
like
constipated during the vote. Mental note. Okay.
yes, exactly. So basically, like every vote mattered. Like if one of those 5 people dissented from what they just said, then Gino would have had the votes, and it just would have been a huge mess. So they backed out of it, which I think was good for their game in the long run, because it kind of they didn't know that Marty was about to win HOH here, but
Yeah.
it almost happens. Like Gino almost gets taken out in that safety chain if one thing went differently. If Marty just gave a little wink to Betty and Josh across the room, and Betty was very clearly like, Marty, hey,
Marty, what are we doing? Hello. Hello.
And he's just like sitting there with his head down, and it's just it's a mess. But ultimately, Jess does go home. So then we have the HOH competition, which is like a red light, green light. Kind of reminded me of like Squid Game meets Big Brother, which was pretty fun. But I liked this competition. It was very like visually interesting. Of course, like it was a little more physical than like how like even the comps have been this season, but it resulted in the 42-year-old man with a weak shoulder winning the HOH. So.
I'm saying, don't sleep on Marty, man. Even though he's losing his mind, it's what's keeping him in the game.
Yeah,
maybe.
So it's just a whole damn mess because like Marty first like lied about him, and so him and Helena were the only two vote to vote to evict Gino. So Marty is now like backpedaling, like, do I like keep up this lie? Do I tell the truth? And he just feels so bad because like he keeps trying to work with Gino, but like when the rubber hits the road, I feel like every chance he gets like thrown into something else, right?
It's like your best friend that keeps lying to you. I mean it this time.
Yeah.
I mean it this time. No, I
Yeah.
really, really, really mean it this time. No, Marty, you don't. No.
It's crazy. And so I just like, I feel like if you're gonna do that, Marty, like you just have to stick with the path that you're going down instead of like doing this one thing and then like going against it and saying you're doing something else. And it's all like, for Marty, it's all this thing about like an honor code, like a very old school type of like loyalty that it's just like not working out for him.
And Sam, you're right. I agree with you. He should have kept the lie going.
Yes,
I really did, because he was actually getting away with it this time.
He was, yeah. And there was so much wiggle room for him to get out of that lie successfully. But
yeah,
Marty is gonna Marty. He just can't help himself. So he thinks that instead
does he remind you of Cliff?
I think
remind you of Cliff from Big Brother.
I think Cliff is a better player than Marty. Like Marty is like just so terribly bad at Big Brother. It's just like mortifying to me. Joseph Boza says Marty's a wild card HOH. You don't know what the hell he's doing. That's correct, and neither does Marty. Marty has no idea what he's doing. So here's the thing: like Betty and Josh just simply got cold feet in the moment, which is understandable. Like flips happen and almost happen, but don't happen all the time in these like double eviction scramble situations. But Marty thinks that like this whole thing was like this big mastermind plan for Marty to be caught with his pants down. And so Marty, of course, is the worst person to win HOH and get power following this like faulty, crazy logic.
Yeah. That made me laugh so hard because he goes on this outing rampage of just telling on everybody. And I'm like, this is terrible, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Marty's imploding super so much. Like he tells people in his nomination speech he's too old and too weak to backdoor. And if you backdoor me, like you're not deserving of the win. And I'm like, you just won like the most physical competition of the entire season.
Is he selling himself short by saying that? Because he is the competition.
But like he's trying to like have his cake and eat it too, where he's trying to say like, I'm not a threat, don't come after me. But like you're also like announcing to the house who is now the jury. You're announcing to the jury like, listen, I'm not a very capable good player. Like I'm just a weakling. Like I feel like that's not like a public declaration that needed to be made. You're certainly no Dr. Will when it comes to like telling everybody that in your nomination speech. But so Marty tells Summer that Summer threw him under the bus to Jess during the Wendy's thing, which we got flashbacks to, and it wasn't true at all. But Marty takes it one step further, and he's like, "Listen, if all this didn't happen with Betty and Josh, I'd probably be targeting you." So I don't understand like why you say that to somebody.
He's not going to be in the HOH room next week. He realizes this, right?
I just feel like Marty is taking every opportunity to like crumble every single relationship that he has for like literally no benefit. Like only say that to Summer if like somebody wins the veto, takes them off, and he needs to put somebody else up, which
Mm,
spoiler alert does happen, but it's
mhm,
not even Summer that goes up
mm-mm.
when he does this. So he kind of like ruined like any chance of working with Summer, which is a shame because I feel like Marty and Summer both are two people that really need allies moving forward. Um,
Agree.
and so it's just not good. And then let's see. So Marty gets convinced by Kevin to backdoor Herman, and I love how Kevin did this. Right, like he basically says like, if you take out Herman, you will win $100,000. But if you want to use your HOH for a revenge trip, I understand. Uh,
Dude, manipulation 101. And let me tell you something. You ain't winning $100,000 right now, Marty.
no, I would be willing to bet Marty does not win
Hello,
$100,000
McFly.
no matter
Anybody
what he's
home?
doing.
Anybody home? You get that reference?
I do not.
It's
Oh,
Back to the
Marty McFly?
Future. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
That's
That's
what I
right.
keep saying to myself when I'm
Thank you.
watching him.
But I've really loved this pitch from Kevin because like
Mhm.
yet again, like Kevin, Helena, and Josh are kind of spinning the game in their favor when nobody has really figured it out yet. And it's that type of pitch is subtle enough to like push Marty to be like, listen, like you don't think that you're winning this game, you don't like, you're worried about getting to the end. I'm telling you, like, this is your ticket, but no pressure if you don't want to do that and you want to play personal instead. Like that's just like such a head fuck to
Yeah.
Marty, who's like, am I thinking personal? And Marty is definitely the type of person to be hyper aware of like, oh, I think I'm playing too personally, so I need to like do the complete opposite, even though it makes no sense.
Have you looked at the top of Marty's head lately? It's actually cracking.
Yeah.
There's a red mark. I'm like, the dude is literally, his mind is, he's cracking, and we're seeing
Hmm.
it in physical form.
Yeah. And so Kevin then uses the veto on Josh, which is great because that tells Josh that like Kevin really is in on this like 3-person alliance.
What about Kevin's speech, though?
I loved it. He said, listen, he didn't even like use it for like, he didn't blame it on any like game purpose. Like he said, like, listen, I'm a superstitious person. Like we've used the veto every time this season, and I don't want to find out what happens if the veto isn't used.
Right.
Which is such a clever way to or such a charismatic is probably the better word. Such a charismatic way to kind of do it without I don't know, like if you're having people laughing while you're doing what you need to be done in this game, like I think that's a pretty strong characteristic to have as a player in this game.
Yes.
So Marty then puts up Herman immediately, like after telling
No dancing
Herman that,
this
like,
time.
yeah, no dancing, don't worry everybody. But like he told Herman maybe like a few hours before this veto ceremony that he was totally safe. So
Wow. I didn't know
I don't
that.
really get the need for Marty to do that to Herman on his way out. And Herman was very rightfully upset. He goes up to the HOH room and says, Marty, I want you to look right into the camera and say, Canada, I'm a backstabber.
Yeah.
Which like for anybody, for Marty to be told to do that is just so like morally or like that's like the worst thing for somebody to ask Marty to do. Marty of all people. Like it kind of reminds me in Survivor Heroes versus Villains when like Coach went to like shake Rob's hand after voting him out, and Rob says to Coach, "You're a little man, Coach." Like, and that just like totally destroys him on the inside because like he plays such a game of like moral like
Yeah.
ethics and stuff. So for Herman to say, "I want you to look right into the camera and say, Canada, I'm a backstabber," he hates that so much.
It's humiliating to an extent. I mean, that is the kind of stuff that will keep someone like Marty, who seems a little obsessive, up at night thinking about it. And Marty is in his own head. And a lot of the crap that's happening to Marty is because of Marty, but also because of Kevin. And Kevin Marty is perfect for someone like Kevin. Just,
Yeah.
watch this. I can get this guy to do anything. Just watch this. I'll tell
Yeah.
him anything and he'll do it. And he's doing it. And Kevin, and I have to agree, so yeah, Joseph Bo's in the chat. I did not like Kevin in the beginning, and I think I even said, he won't make it. I'm rooting for Kevin right now. I don't care what anybody says.
I totally agree with Josa that this is Kevin's game to lose at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. You know, like when we see these like nerdy super fans in the preseason who are like, I'm gonna stir up the pot and cause drama along the way, and like it's like we're all like, this is way too good to be true, and this clown is gonna be like the first one out because he has no social game. But this is the second week in a row. Remember how much he was like controlling Jessica's HOH? Same amount of control for Marty, and it's like a totally different type of player and a totally different situation in the game. And Kevin was able to identify the differences in those players in the game and everything, and exploit that as much as possible. I'll get to Sam's question. Don't worry. So Jacey-Lynne and Gino, they're hanging out in the bedroom like they always do. And Jacey-Lynne says to Gino, I hate the thought of being played by Kevin, Helena, and Marty. And here's the thing, Gino and Jacey-Lynne, like they don't really have an idea of the house. They don't.
No, because they're in a showmance.
Exactly, and they've kind of accepted that like they're not going to be in the loop of like all this knowledge and information and stuff. But they're just because they've accepted that, they're just so worried. Like, we want to keep playing this game, but like, what we don't want to do is look like idiots, look like people who are just like manipulated the whole way, which I understand, but I also think that like they're not doing too terrible of a job. Like they're no Marty in of like being manipulated or anything. I just loved hearing this from Jacey-Lynne because to answer your question, Sam. So Sam says, Tyler, you need to stop saying Jacey-Lynne is a bad player. She will win comps in high pressure situations. She does deserve to make jury. Plus, he finds Jacey-Lynne super attractive.
Why am I not surprised?
Not surprised at all. Yes, Jacey-Lynne is very beautiful, but I will say that Jacey-Lynne has been doing some good work lately in terms of working on some one-on-one relationships, especially with the girls. Like, I almost feel like she kind of sees that Gino's target is getting bigger, especially now that her mom has left.
Gotta plan ahead.
And I feel like she's trying to go like really like girl strong. Like every conversation that I see her in, she's saying like, listen, like, don't you want a girl to win this season? Like, it needs to be women strong. And Summer is thumbs up with that. Betty is thumbs up on that too. Helena's just the one that's double dipping a little bit. So I'm liking that Jacey-Lynne is like starting to turn it on. So we'll see. I also have a question from BB. Will Gino and Jacey make it to the end like Jackson and Holly? And this is Taryn actually brought this up on the live feed updates this morning. He said that he's comparing Gino and Jacey-Lynne to like Jackson and Holly in the end game of Big Brother 21, because like everybody is like trying to work. Trying to use the showmans to their advantage, like as long as they can before cutting them. But the problem is like the longer you bring them along and they're winning stuff, it's a problem because like it's gonna be a point where like too much time has passed. They keep winning comps, so they keep like saving themselves, and just person after person after person goes. So
I don't think that. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think that Gino and JC are anything like Jackson and Holly. That was a completely different vibe and situation.
That situation, like that final six was like 2-2-2, like Christy and Tommy, Cliff and Nicole, and then Jackson and Holly.
But Jackson and Holly. No, go ahead. No, I was just going to say Jackson and Holly stayed in the house not because people were keeping them because
Yeah.
They were in the house because they won shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like once
Yeah.
Gino or Jacey-Lynne are on their like 4th HOH, 5th veto, something like that, like that's when I'll start comparing them. But I think there's still a lot more fluidity in the season compared to Big Brother 21. So I don't think that we're like quite as like gridlocked as that, for instance.
Yeah. Do you think Sam wants to know, do you think that JC would be the one to cut Gino?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think she would do it.
No, and she doesn't need to do it because like so
They'll be on the
spoiler
block
alert,
together. Yeah.
Herman was evicted 7-0. So unanimous vote. So Herman is gone. And so let's talk about like the HOH comp, and then we'll get into the new HOH comp.
And I have no idea who's HOH or anything.
Okay, cool, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna bring up the board here. So these are the 9 players left, which is like it feels like such a small group now, right?
They seem so much. It seems so much more on the show for some reason. It seems like there's more people in there. I can't explain it, but it just does. Okay.
Yeah. So we left the end of the show with which is it's the buzzkill competition. So it's a favorite in BB Cam because it's kind of like the pressure cooker in Big Brother US, like when they were in the glass house, like pressing their finger on the button for like 14 hours in case they won that HOH or whatever. So basically you are at a podium and there's a buzzer, and there's like a timer in front of them. So we on the live feeds can see like the timer going down to 0, but once it hits 0, like the last person to press their button is out of the round. And of course, like during this competition, they will open up the kitchen for like Chinese food or like letters from home or just like different temptations for people to like leave their buzzer because they could and make it back in time and get it, but that risk is up to you. But they were having lots of malfunctions with the buttons. Summer, it was specifically Summer's button. Like she wasn't the last one to press a button, but it still said that she was eliminated every time. And then something was like wrong with Helena's. One thing I did enjoy was Moose. Like at one point, he was like, "Go, go, 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 go!" And Helena like accidentally pressed her button, so she got eliminated. And she was like pissed about that. But I thought that was really funny of Moose to do that. So after a few hours and they cut the feeds, Arisa Cox like tweeted out saying, "Listen, like we take fairness very seriously. We're canceling the HOH comp for tonight because there's been buzzer issues, and we will have a new HOH tomorrow. So stay tuned."
Did anyone actually win, or did they even make it that far?
No, I think it was only like Summer and Helena out after like 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And like a restart. So it was a mess. And it's a shame because like this is like such a great HOH competition. It's a very equal HOH competition. Like it just requires focus. So I hope this isn't the end of this comp like in future seasons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I just want to point out in the chat, Sam Higdon is no longer interested in pre-jury girls when it comes to Big Brother.
I see. But what about Kat from Survivor? Because she said girls that get out pre-jury are undateable. So watch out for that. Okay, so Allison, you have no idea who the HOH is. So obviously it can't be Marty. So who do you think out of these 8 has won HOH?
Betty.
It is Gino. So Gino is our new HOH.
He was almost my second. He was almost my guess.
Yeah. So apparently it was like a trivia like quiz comp. So this is the second
Jackson
trivia.
Holly situation.
This is the second trivia comp that Gino has won for HOH. So very impressed with Gino. So basically Marty's the target here for Gino. I feel like we're headed towards.
You don't say.
So Gino is putting up Moose and Summer as pawns and waiting to see like what happens with Vito. But Jacey-Lynne is starting to consider like, maybe we should take out Summer here. Because I think some of it is jealousy because of her connection with Gino.
Oh, yeah.
I think some of it is just recognizing that Summer has more winner's equity at the end than Marty does, probably.
Marty, we would be best to keep him in the house at this point because he's done pissed off so many people.
Yep. And if Marty goes, Gino will absolutely be the biggest target heading into next week.
Yes.
So I think for all those reasons, like I agree with Jacey-Lynne's logic here, and I like seeing this side of her. I hope that we see it more, because I've just been so disappointed with Jacey-Lynne. But right now, who I'm disappointed with is Summer and Helena.
Really?
I especially Summer. She's always like the first one out of all these competitions. She's not really getting anything done. She had a lot of indecisiveness with this vote between Betty and Herman. And she was telling both Betty and Herman, like, listen, I'm not sure. All right, I'm changing my mind again. But, and it just like her relationship with Betty was like such an easy like follower for her. You know what I mean? Somebody that would just like vote to keep her like at any time. And now Betty is like really unsure of where she is with her. I feel like Betty is now closer to Josh at this point. So I just feel like we keep seeing Summer just like lose relationships, lose agency, not win any power in the house, not have any influence in the house. And it's so disappointing because like I was so high on her a few weeks ago. And I just feel like Summer's just kind of like there now and not really thinking critically about what to do in the game.
Started out strong and kind of lost a little gas there.
And same with Helena. Like I just feel like she is just constantly like a deer in headlights in terms of like paralysis in the moment. In terms of like not knowing what to do, like freaking out and going through with voting to evict Gino. She was that other vote, so that could easily come out to haunt her this week too, with Gino being HOH.
Yeah.
So BB says, is Summer a floater? I think yeah, I think so, and not the good kind, right? Because like there's a difference between like Helena is a floater as well, but like she's doing it more strategically, like more intentionally, if that makes sense. Like Summer's positioning is just
what do you call someone that starts out strong and then morphs into a floater? Like I've never heard a name for that. Like what do you even call that?
I don't know, but like it reminds me of Tina from BB Can 9. Like we were so high on her as a player, like at the beginning of the season, and we were just waiting for her to like do something, and it just like never happened. So yeah, Joseph says this will be a boring week. Burlington Coat Factory wants Summer out because she thinks she's Rachel Riley. Nobody comes between me and my man. This isn't too hot to handle, girl.
What is Burlington Coat Factory?
So Twitter's calling Jacey-Lynne JCPenney. So I think it's like adjacent, which is hilarious. So Summer and Moose have officially been nominated. So that's where we're at right now. And Helena is now officially the last person in the house to have never been nominated.
Okay.
So take that for what it's worth. But so just to run down like where like each of people's standings are right now. So like I said, it's kind of a boring week. So Betty, she has like Summer distantly, but I feel like she's like all in with Josh now. And we really saw that kind of happen this past week. Helena is still with Kevin and Josh. But I just like Herman in his exit interview, he said that Kevin and Helena were very disappointing players to him. And I feel like Herman could change his mind on Kevin once more people come to the jury house and say like, wow, look what Kevin did. You know what I mean?
Is Kevin, I haven't really seen a lot of the exit diary messages. So is Kevin letting people know what he's done?
That's a good question. I haven't seen that either. And I also had a question about like, remember at the beginning of the season, like you could open like a door for a prize if you were the one to like survive the block. I don't
Where's
know
that?
I don't know what happened to that.
Is this like the camper takeover thing that went nowhere with Big Brother US?
Right. Adrian said Herman's exit interview said that Summer might have a chance to win if she pulls out the comp wins, and said he's unlikely to vote for Kevin and Helena.
Hold on 1 second. I got to move her.
You're good. Allison's on baby duty right now. She has Cloud in the room with her. But Adrian says, including Marty, that he won't vote for it. But if the house guests don't get rid of him, he might vote for him. Everyone else, he might vote for. So I think that there is room for Herman to change his mind about Kevin in particular. Adrian says in Kevin's goodbye message to Herman on Thursday, he did tell him he's been trying to get him out.
Sorry, guys. I'm babysitting. So this is what you get.
You're good. Hi, Cloud.
Okay.
Kevin did tell Herman he was responsible for his eviction during his goodbye message, which is good. I want to see Kevin take ownership for all the behind the scenes manipulating he's doing.
Cloud's favorite this season is Moose because for some reason when that man comes on screen, it's his hair.
I think so.
Because Cloud's got crazy hair. You got crazy hair too, don't you?
Sam wants to know what do you think about Jacey-Lynne?
We don't know yet. He is a little flirt though. He likes the girls with glasses. So I don't know.
As far as we talked about Jacey-Lynne's positioning, as far as Josh goes, I think that Josh is actually his positioning and his influence. I'm glad to see that Josh is starting to play the game a little harder now and a little more aggressively. Now is definitely the time to turn that on. And I could see a situation where Josh wins the game very, very easily. Of course, Kevin, remember that whole lawyer shtick that he did with Gino in his first HOH? He's doing that again, and Gino absolutely loves it. He eats it up. He thinks it's the funniest thing.
You know what my favorite thing was during, I don't remember which episode it was, but Josh lied about what he does for a living.
Yeah.
And Kevin was asking him, what did he say? He was a marine biologist.
Marine biologist, yeah.
And he's asking him all these tech. That's like if I went in there and I said I was a doctor and they're asking me about all these surgeries and stuff. And well, what do you do when this becomes attached and da-da-da-da-da? And I'm I don't like to talk about work when I'm not there.
If you had to lie about your profession, what would you lie and say that you did?
I was a professional pole dancer.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think I should lie and say I do?
Maybe a preschool teacher or something like that. I feel that could be a good.
That is true.
Good thing for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because you have some baby experience right now.
I got a little bit.
Yeah. And plus, I feel teachers, that's a good profession to lie about because it makes you seem nurturing and gentle and smart as well. Bean wants to know what's the toddler's name?
His name is Cloud, and he's only 5 months old, but he does look big, doesn't he? Because I'm small. Y'all have to understand something. I'm 4'11" and I weigh 100 pounds. Everything looks big.
I'm gonna go ahead and take this off here so we can see Cloud more. I don't know what I would maybe a sound or tech person for a lighting tech person for a show or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something nerdy.
I don't know because you got to think about I'm not really good at keeping up a lie. So I'm gonna say something well, when I was I used to do accounting for 20 years. People were like, really? You went from accounting and you're a preschool teacher? Don't accountants make more money?
And then that's when you say it's not about the money, it's about the passion.
It's not about the money. I love kids. Now stop talking to me and bothering me while I'm drinking my coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Be well, stop asking. God, rude.
Yeah.
But I agree with Jameson. If Summer wants to win, she has to win comps or she's screwed. And I agree. Herman is only rooting for her in these goodbye messages because he doesn't have a clear picture of the game. And so he's just rooting for people that he has worked with. He said that he thinks that Moose has a good chance to win the game too, which I don't really see. Moose is always a target for everybody to put him on the block as a pawn and stuff. And I don't really see winners equity for Helena, for Marty,
Yeah.
for Betty, for Moose. And I hate to say this, but Summer as well. Like I think like the contenders for the winner are Gino, Josh, or Kevin.
Yeah.
And that's
I
where
just
we're
hope
at.
they decide not to backdoor Marty because they need to keep him around. He's unscrewed the pooch.
Yep.
Screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
You know, so.
The veto players for tonight are Moose, Summer, Josh, Jacey-Lynne, and Helena.
Got it.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see. But I mean, Moose could. I feel like this is a pretty stacked veto competition, so I feel like whoever wins it probably would use it. So yeah, pretty straightforward week, especially compared to other weeks this season and everything. But here's the updated draft for us. So I've lost my my second person, but still feeling good about Josh. Still feeling very good.
Wow. And, hold on a second. I need to point something out here.
Yeah, go ahead. You have earned it.
I am the only person that still has everybody, but that's probably going to change.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's funny that like after this week, like Jacey-Lynne will be the only person out of like the whole last row of picks that we have left in the game, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, so I think of course like a short little show this week, but I think that's about it. Do you have any questions about where we're headed or anything?
Man, I just hope they don't back. Like I said, hey, what do you think? Hold on, let me get him to say. Cloud, let go of the microphone. What do you? Who's going home? Who do you want? Anybody?
He's like anybody but Moose.
Yeah, anybody but the guy with the crazy hair, because I got crazy hair too. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, like a shorter show, but like there's not really too much going on yet. We don't have like an idea of like the veto winner or anything yet. So we'll see how this week plays out. But very likely, more than that, on Thursday we'll be talking about Marty going home. Yep. How many grandkids do you want, Allison?
I would love one more. I would love a little granddaughter go with my little grandson.
Oh, that would be so cute.
I would love to have one of each. And listen, I'm partial to little boys because I have a son, so I would welcome another little boy. But I have a brand new niece and nephew as well. So they're only a few months apart. So they're everywhere. But I get to send them home, okay?
Well, I'll let you get back to babysitting duty then. But anything else before we sign off here?
This is the future, America. The future Gerber baby. This is the new Gerber baby.
Did you submit the application?
We're working that. Yeah. We will, but Uncle Tyler's got to work on that picture.
Oh yes. I will.
He wants that microphone so bad. Do you see? Not yet. I'm leaving it to you. Don't worry.
Oh, so
it's like cute. Great, thanks.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for BB Can 10 week 6. We'll be back next week to talk about probably Marty going home, but with this season, who knows? And
Wednesday we'll be back for Survivor. Yep. 2-hour Survivor this week, so it'll be 10/9 Central. Mm-hmm. So
and also I think on April 13th the season for so this Wednesday the season for the Real World New Orleans, the original one, comes on Paramount Plus. So if you wanted to watch that before April 20th,
week?
No, so like not the Homecoming, but the original season comes to Paramount Plus on Wednesday. So if you wanted like a week to watch that season before Homecoming drops on the 20th, I would recommend checking that out. But also on YouTube, like MTV uploaded like a few videos with like just like a highlight reel of like all the important conversations, all the drama, all the don't ask, don't tell stuff with that guy's boyfriend, which is pretty crazy to like.
I was thinking about that because his boyfriend had to be blurred out on the show.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me how far we've come a long way, but then again, we haven't in a way. I guess.
Right. Exactly.
So.
It's just like another version of the same crap, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also really loved like how Julia, she was so like I don't know like if it came across this way like watching the whole season, but I really admired how Julie was so like she admitted that like, listen, I don't really know anything about anything, and like I want to ask like the uncomfortable questions about like race and sexuality and stuff because I want to learn from you guys because I've like literally never met people like that.
Yeah.
So
Honey,
I thought that was admirable.
I can relate to that because I ask you guys questions all the time. And the first thing I say is, I know this is going to come off as ignorant, but please, I would like to know how to bet, because we're always wanting to learn, because I want this one to know to be educated the right way,
Yeah.
as well. So
Absolutely. They are the future. All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday for Survivor. All right. Take care.
bye.
Bye.